Okay, who says it's just the grounds of this is coming to you live from the Easter Mondays. The very yesterday and the day before, obviously. Just unplug it and plug. No, unplug it and plug it. Anytime you say. All right, so we are bring you all of the happenings live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice, the very heart of legal power in the Republic of Liberia. This is what decisions are made. The Constitution of the Republic of Liberia gets to be published. We've been bringing to you from the grounds of the Temple of Justice here, following a citation that was presented to Justin Opa Yezien, popularly known as Prophet Key, by the full bench of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. Following the presentation of that citation, Prophet Key made his first appearance here today before the full, made his first appearance on Tuesday before the full bench of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. And there were issues about legal representations. Of course, the entire Tuesday was used to find a solution around that, and the court was able to identify or appoint the public defenders to represent the legal interest of Justin Opa Yezien. On Thursday, yesterday, the court went into the hearing of the arguments from the amicary, who happened to be the friends of the court, and that of the legal representations or the public defenders representing the legal interest of Justin Opa Yezien, Prophet Key. Yesterday, the arguments were heard, and of course, the court then reserved the ruling for today at 11 a.m. Somewhere around 11 a.m., Prophet Key he did appear here, and as we speak, he's up there in the public defender's office, expected to arrive in the courtroom very shortly. On this broadcast, let me welcome Diamond Slanger. Of course, he is going to be handling most of the engagement here today, since in fact I almost lost my voice. Diamond, good morning again. It's good that we're here.
Good morning to you, Nelson. It's a pleasure being here, following up, intruding your broadcast today. We've been doing this for 2 days now, and this is the third day. So yes, when you do need a rest, we'll definitely provide you that rest while we provide our audience with analysis and real-time information as to what's going to be unfolding there at the Supreme Court of Liberia.
Yeah, most definitely, Diamond. And I saw you did start the broadcast this morning, capturing the arrival of Justin Opa Yezien here, and now he's in the public defender's office. Now, give us your own take on everything that's happening here today, what to expect and all of that.
All right, thank you, Nelson. So yes, I was here earlier when he arrived. He arrived with his wife, his ever-present wife, since he started going through these proceedings. One thing this proceeding has done is that it has put his government name, if I want to use that phrase, it has put his government name or his real name on our tongues. We do know what his official name is as compared to his show-based name, Prophet Key. Many people were struggling, including myself, on the first day his trial began to get his real name. So now Liberians, obviously, those who knew already, but those who didn't know in the majority, and now we do know his real name. Secondly, what this trial has proven is that, yes, there are limitations to the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression in Liberia. It's enshrined in Article 15 of the Constitution. It's reinforced by the Camara law of 2019. And is enforced again when it comes to the judiciary in Article 65, Article 73, where the courts have got the power of contempt. What Prophet Key is undergoing today is not a criminal charge, It's a contempt power that is inherent in the judiciary, ranging from the lower courts even up to the highest court, which is the Supreme Court of Liberia. So judges have got contempt power. Remember, the court is the judge is the court, and that is what is unfolding here. So it's not criminal in nature, it's more civil in nature, and contempt charges come with punishments which could range from weeks in prison to publishing an apology, or even both a fine and a term in prison that will last weeks. Once you cannot defend why you shouldn't be held in contempt, the judge or the court can slap you with a contempt charge, Nelson. So that's what's unfolding here. So it also educated Liberians that yes, indeed, there is freedom of speech. People say words are meant to be used. It's true. But if you use words that will attack the character of an individual, even an ordinary citizen, a private prosecutrix, as it's called legally, that person can take you to court for character defamation, for libel, and for other charges that are civil related, and you'll be made to pay a fine, or you'll be made to pay the damages that you've caused that particular person. In this case, the judiciary is protected by contempt charges so as to uphold and maintain the integrity and the independence of the judiciary. So any act or anything that is said, whether directly that's in the court when a judge is in open court and you exhibit behaviors that might bring the court to public disrepute, or to attack the integrity of the judge or the court, or to cause dissanity in the court, you can be charged with direct contempt. Outside of the court, if you make a statement or you publish any article or anything that you say that brings the court to public disrepute or undermines the integrity of the judiciary, or even brings the court, to undermine transparency of the court and the independence of the court, you can be held for constructive, contempt. That is what Prophet Key is going through right now. It's a constructive contempt, case that is ongoing, Nelson.
Yes, and Diamond, going back to the point you just raised, talking about the repercussions under the laws of the Republic of Liberia. We had a chit chat with some judicial reporters, judicial correspondents, folks who have covered this very temple of justice or the judiciary for years, some media colleagues, and we took a sort of deep dive into the legality surrounding this, what the possible repercussions are under the laws, and it goes that Prophet Key could face 1 month in prison and a fine of $300 United States dollars. And but now, Diamond, remember yesterday the issue was that Prophet Key, his legal representatives did fall before the court. They didn't make any argument at all. In the midst of everything, the amicary or the friends of the court presented how he violated the laws of the country. The court needs to take actions and so forth. When his legal representatives took the stand, instead of making an argument to protect Prophet Key, they rather said that their client is wrong. He went beyond the free speech component provided for in the constitution of the country, and they went on to appeal that the justices in chambers tempered justice with mercy following that argument. So immediately, what that means is that they have admitted, whether directly or whatever, that their client is guilty and he should be held in contempt. So now, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Nelson, thank you. So, as part of our duties, today is World Radio Day.
Yeah.
And I want to say happy World Radio Day to all of our media colleagues, whether you in the print media or whether you still in the new media, whether you a radio personality, a reporter, or whatever, a manager. I classify everybody to be part of the radio family, and we've done a good job in making sure that Liberians can be educated and know what's right and what's wrong. And one of our duties is to provide factual information and to educate our audiences as well. Now, the legal basis for contempt, Nelson, the legal basis for punishment, contempt of court in Liberia is punished under Article 65 of the Constitution, inherent judicial power. It's in the Constitution, and if you are aware, all laws in the Republic must conform to the Constitution, which is organic law. Any law that is contrary is null or void. So the power of contempt is inherent in the judiciary in Article 65. Article 66, the Supreme Court's final authority. And then there is also the judicial law, which is known as Title 17, statutory contempt powers of the court. So it is the discretion of the court to determine the appropriate penalties. So the penalties, as you said, is also preview on the fact that, what was the extent of the attack on the court. How regularly have you been doing that? How damaging was the attack on the court? That could also lead to what sort of punishment that is. You talked about imprisonment for 1 month, a fine of 300.
Yeah.
The court could also imprison you and fine you depending on the extent of the damage, the reputational damage that you caused the court. The court could even ask you to send in an apology, to publish an apology, and do so. There are notable cases as well, Nelson. Now, the first punishment, fines. The most common punishment, fines, are very widely depending on the gravity, as I said, whether the contempt was direct or constructive. If you in court and you commit an act that is tantamount to contempt, that is direct contempt. If you publish an article, like there are notable cases, and I'm going to those cases. These are some of the cases that we have. The Front Page Africa case of 2013.
Yeah.
Remember that case?
Yeah.
There was a penalty, a heavy fine, and the newspaper was ordered to publish an apology. You understand?
Yeah.
Then there is the Rodney C.A. New Democrat case of 2002. They were fined a penalty. They were threatened with imprisonment, but they were found a penalty. There was the National Chronicle case of 2014. Detention plus a fine. So you see the differences there. Fine, threat of imprisonment, detention plus a fine. There was the James Double Jala case of 2015. He was a lawyer. He was suspended from practice for contempt. And then he was made to pay a fine. So Prophet Key is not a lawyer. So there is no suspension from practice for him. But what could happen is he could be fined, or he could be in prison plus fined and asked to issue an apology with a caveat that he doesn't do it again. So the discretion of what the penalty will be comes from what the ruling of the Supreme Court will be, which they have well within their powers, but there is a limitation to what the penalty can be, and what it shouldn't be.
Okay. Yeah, and that's great, Diamond. I'm just trying to peep through here as well. I remember we did promise our audience that we'll be providing a live update from the courtroom. Prophet Key. So today the court is officially closing. The October term of court comes to a close today, and so the court, I understand, is going to be passing judgment on cases it has heard throughout the October term of court. And so what that means is that aside from Prophet Key's case or the contempt situation we are currently providing the coverage on, there are other cases that the court is going to be ruling on today. But at the moment, there's no update yet. The Prophet Key is yet to get to the courtroom. The justices are yet to get in the courtroom as well. And so everything is still calm up there as of yet. And we will certainly keep our audience updated every single step of the way with the happenings in the courtroom as it unfolds, just as we did yesterday.
Thank you very much, Nelson. And that's why we're here to provide real-time information as what is unfolding there at the Supreme Court of Liberia. The flag is hoisted up, meaning the Supreme Court is in session. As you rightly said, the court closes today. The Supreme Court, closes today. We've been informed. There are other cases that they will be ruling on, but the crux of why we're here is to see what is going to happen to Prophet Key. Now, you started off with the issue that Prophet Key couldn't get a lawyer. It's not that there are not lawyers in Liberia. I saw a funny video yesterday. One of his top fans, Councillor Muriah Yakula, was running away. Look, Nelson, law, security, medicine, they are societies where they value seniority more than any other thing. So where they see it as an attack on the judiciary, lawyers per se will be skeptical of how to get involved. There are many lawyers, there are brave lawyers, but why did he struggle to get a lawyer? Or was it deliberate on his part, not to get a lawyer? Lawyers will tell you, oh, we cannot go run after a case, but there are cases that lawyers run after.
Yeah.
There are cases that lawyers run after. There are some cases lawyers will go after that case either to protect their or project their professional standards, either for the morale of it or for the morality of it, or they believe, in certain things that case attacks, and they will go and proffer themselves as legal representatives. But why did he struggle to get a lawyer? Now you mentioned the issue of the public defenders falling before the court and praying mercy. They might have told their clients prior to entering the court, because it's the duty of a lawyer to advise your clients on which way is the best possible approach. So they went with that approach, and he was well in the know of what approach they would have taken. You also said he violated Article 15 to a large extent. That is letting the court know that, hey, court, we're sorry, we beg you. We were told yesterday that Prophet Key was crying in the court. Whether that was, an act of theatrics, or he was genuinely crying, but that was a way of trying to get on the good side of the justices, calling the female justices his mothers and calling the chief justice his father. Today he repeated it when he arrived. He mentioned he called the chief justice his brother, that they are from Nimba County. And even the chief justice said that yesterday, that you are from Nimba. Which part of Nimba are you from? Did you grow up in Nimba? And those questions were alluding to the fact that if you did grow up in a traditional society and you were taught things, you wouldn't insult your elders.
Even asking as to whether he has mothers and sisters, he has a mother or sisters.
Yeah. So now the issue is, others have been asking, why now? The answer to that question is, why not now? The court has decided that it was injured, and the court decided to take an action. Those who Prophet Key had issues with in the past, they have their right to run to court, to sue for character defamation, for libelous, attacks and the rest. Did they exercise those rights? That's a question to answer. We listened to Bushu Ben Keita when the Judy Andy Prophet Key saga was unfolding. His argument was the charges were criminal rather than civil. So if you feel injured and you take a civil, liability suit against a person who injures your character, you have to prove to what extent the injury, caused you. To what extent were the damages to your
the extent of the damage is something you have to establish.
Yes. Yeah. But there are legal remedies to character defamation, attacks, libelous and scandalous statements everywhere in the world. It's a civil matter, and you will be held to pay the penalties for that as well, Nelson. So that's what's unfolding here. It is not criminal in nature. What's happening is the contempt power that is inherent in the judiciary by the Constitution of Liberia and Title 17 of the laws of Liberia that has got Prophet Key here today.
But Diamond, and another thing I stumbled across yesterday was I heard someone say that the judiciary set Prophet Key up, and going back on that, Diamond. You remember the first day on Tuesday when he appeared here, he didn't have a lawyer. Upon his return, while he was walking out, Councillor Berman, who happens to be his legal representative, was also walking alongside. And I asked the councillor, Counsel, are you proud of your client? He said, I'm going by the menu of the court. Remember now, it was the court who appointed the legal, the public defenders. He being the president or the head of the public defenders, he then had to step forward to take on this mandate from the court. Are you proud of your client? He said, I'm taking the mandate from the court. Are you a fan of his style of advocacy? I'm taking instruction from the court. Do you think that the choice of words your clients have been using over the years in the name of advocacy are good for our society? I'm following the instruction of the court. He did not make any comment or provide any answer that will present him as someone who is, going to make that strong case for his client. He came across as that person who already was not in alignment with how his client had carried on his advocacy over the years. So, looking at the way the arguments went on yesterday, then someone said apparently the judiciary set Prophet Key up. But what do you think about that, Diamond?
So the first thing is, Prophet Key, like any other Liberian, has got the right to legal representation.
Yeah.
He had the option of putting together an ironclad dream team, legal team. You understand?
Yeah.
He had that option. It's provided to him by law. He didn't exercise that. He didn't come in with a private lawyer. He didn't come with lawyers to defend him. So then, if he's not qualified to stand before the court and plead on his own behalf, he must be appointed a lawyer. That is constitutional.
Yeah.
So then, that choice is taken away from you now. You will be given a lawyer. Instead of you choosing a lawyer, you will be given a lawyer. If you feel that lawyer doesn't represent you properly, you can ask the same judiciary, the same court, to change that lawyer. You have the right to change your legal counsel if they do not represent your interests well. Again, as I said, Nelson, lawyers do not take on cases because of belief most of the time. Some lawyers do. For a public defender, whether the person committed the most heinous of crimes and you have been assigned that person as a client, your duty is, depending on the merits of the case, to advise your client the best way forward. It's either we go to full trial or we put in a plea bargain. So looking at the merits of the case, Prophet Key's lawyers advise their clients, I'm presuming because I wasn't in their client lawyer meetings, which is only privy to them, but the fact that he went with the same approach by being apologetic, then it implies that his lawyers had advised him that, look, man, this thing not to make it long. You know, the court has got contempt powers. The Chief Justice could say the fact that you called him corrupt, meaning the entire Supreme Court is corrupt, it undermines the dispensation of justice and the law and order in the country. You've brought the court to public ridicule. Whatever that was said to him by his lawyers to have made them to take that approach, that is privy to their lawyer-client or client-lawyer conversations. But to say they set him up, I would disagree.
You think he wasn't set up? Okay.
I think he had the right to exercise the option given to him to come along with his own legal representation. I also told you that law is a society. It's an entrenched society. All of the lawyers that you see, they know each other. They are all members of the bar, the Liberia National Bar Association. They are all members of subcommittees of the bar, whether Lofa, Nimba, Monserrato, Bombing, those different bar associations that fall under the Liberia National Bar Association. So who's that lawyer now that is going to stand before the Supreme Court where the court says it has been injured by words said by an individual outside of court, which is constructive contempt, you know, to come and stand in front of the court and say, oh, no,
is that true? You very injured.
I do this, I do that, they injure you. So remember, every year, you have to be readmitted.
Yeah.
Every year you have to be readmitted.
Your admittance could be at stake.
So there is hard diplomacy, there is soft diplomacy. So even in the court, it applies, you know. So these people are lawyers, they are part of the same society, the legal society of Liberia, they know what they are doing. People mentioned Tiawon Gonglo as the foremost human rights lawyer in Liberia. Why couldn't they come and stand? It means also that they do not believe in the manner of approach for which Justice Opa Nyanzia proceeds with. So it's a tricky and murky water to say whether he was set up or not, but he should have exercised, you know, the rights given to him to come with his legal team.
Now, another argument I've followed throughout this is that the court, being a party to this case, the full bench of the Supreme Court should have recused itself, since in fact it became a party to this case, and appoint ad hoc judges or justices who will preside over this case for the sake of fairness, for transparency, and all of that. And that became another argument. Though the entire thing is over now, I just
want to interrupt you for a minute. I want you, because I'm getting information that one TV station is going live in the court, you know. So the fact that going live in the court is prohibited unless otherwise approved, you know, I want you to try and see if we too can go live from the court. So our people.
Let me just confirm something real quick. I too saw that.
Yes, so it's live on the court now. So you can try going live.
So
as well.
let's see that. So we can use the smaller Okay, so we are now going to, yeah, media institutions are there. Is a closing, the official closing of the court. LNTV is even live there, so we're continuing the broadcast from there.
Yeah,
We've communicated with the president of the Judicial Association.
yeah. Where is he?
Yeah, she's up there. Yasa is up there. She's up there already. We've communicated with her. I just from the office there. There's a Spoon TV.
I know that's phone.
The
Damo was telling me.
yeah.
Yeah, but the problem there is that most often the accredited people that will cover certain programs here.
But school is accredited here as well.
Yeah, but what happened before they get to those that will be accredited to cover certain programs? So those people, those media institutions will allow them to cover the program. So if you can call Yasa, let me just talk to Yasa because she's a here. Well, then I can allow you. Yeah, please.
All right, so folks, we are still here. Let's get this done. We want to make sure we can bring you all of the happenings from in there as it unfolds. So just stay with us as we keep bringing you this live broadcast here. We are making our way in the courtroom, and of course, this is where we are. So aside from what is happening today, aside from the regular judicial, let's say, aside from the hearing today, yesterday, with the Prophet Key case, the court has its official.
Yeah, I know.
But Chief, all right. So, folks, thanks for joining us. We are making our way in the courtroom now. We are making our way in the courtroom now. Um, So, folks, thanks for joining us. We muted due to some engagements we have to make here, but we are still trying to make our way in there. And once we get there, we'll bring you all of the happiness from there. Stay with us, Spoon TV. I'm Nelson Colette. Of course, the court closes today. The court is expected to hand down rulings in several cases that were heard during the October term of court. And we will shortly getting there to provide you all of the updates every step of the way. So this is where we are. We've been told that we are not permitted to enter for now. And so we are here waiting for the go ahead. And as you see the sheriffs at the entrance, he says he needs to get signal from the gentleman in there before allowing us in. So this is the situation here. But we want to appreciate all of you watching right now. Thanks for joining us. So again, thanks for joining us. We're still out here, Spoon TV. Nobody come here. I mean, this is Spoon TV. We already live. We already live. This is Spoon TV. Chief, this is Spoon TV. We already live. Thank you.
Mother getting to be accused with action rejection because of that.
The Chief Justice will deliver the decision
This is an action of the gentleman filed by Emmanuel getting interested against.
I want to conduct this thing so now when we have a speaker. You got a speaker here?
Oh my God, President.
Let's speak again.
The defendant in line with our procedure file and answer and attach the campus deed. The defendant filed a reply and attached the defendant deed content and argue that the deed attached by the defendant is fraudulent because the president who alleged signed the deed was not the president on the date the president on the deed. That is the city president. William G. Kuma was not president of Liberia on August 20th, 1896.
So the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Judge Liberia Prophet, is now reading rulings into some of the cases that were heard during the October term of court. As we see,
investigation was conducted, and based on the result of the investigation, the law ruled, and the evidence appealed to us. We, under the doctrine that we do not have to pass all issues, we felt that this issue of the signing of the deed was important to terminate this matter. So, under the procedure or the court has a duty to take cognizance of the historical facts of records. So the court is there, when they do research, will realize that President William D. Kuma was not the president of Liberia on August 20, 1896. He subsequently became president of Liberia following the death of President Chisman on the month 12, 1892. Consequently, the king allowed the therefore granted the payment deed. Hence, it will replace the judgment of the court below that one who was not president can never sign on it. That is our judgment.
A judgment there read by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia.
This case was called for and really back here for the happiness of the coming and by here for the belief. Having reviewed the records here, the arguments and contentions advanced by the councils representing the parties, and consider the relevant laws applicable here to the Liberia Judge. That section 25 and 2 of the civil procedure law requires the court to take judicial cognizance of historical facts. The applicant having pleaded that President William D. Coleman, who allegedly signed and believes he was not president of Liberia on August 29, 1890, when the deed was allegedly signed. This court having taken judicial notice of the historical fact that William D. Coleman was not president on the date the deed was allegedly signed. The judge was in error when he failed to take into consideration the fraud. Hence, the ruling of the lower court is reversible. Wherefore, in view of the overweight, the ruling of the lower court is hereby reversed, and the appeal is further evicted, boosted from the said property. The clerk of this court is ordered to send a mandate to the lower court, commanding the judge residing therein will be told to revision in effect of this judgment, because I rule against the appeal in the hereby so giving on our hands in the seal of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia, the scheduled date of February 2026, signed Yami Koto Francis, Senior Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Together, how Wolfgang Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Joseph D. Kabab, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. And then B. Clinton Johnson, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Wakati Cunning, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia.
You've listened to the reading of another ruling. Another case.
Mr. Joseph Walker Penner will speak for the court.
This is Small TV. Thanks for joining us. We're coming to you live.
Valued at $19,451 for the 1 cent, 34 cents which the claim was in the alley. At trial, John Jala asked for severance, which was granted by the trial court. Trial was held, and John Jala, appellant, was found guilty of criminal mischief. During trial, and in support of their respective sides, prosecution produced 5 witnesses, while defendant produced 3 witnesses. Among those testifying for the prosecution included the Ministry of Public Works and the Liberian Authority, who testified that the house of the private prosecutress was in the alley. However, appellant witnesses who testified, including the former manager of the Queensville City Corporation, claimed that following the complaint of the defendant, John Jala, an investigation was done by the Queensville City Corporation, and it was established that indeed the private prosecutress' house was in the alley. Thereafter, demolition was done by the Queensville City Corporation on the said property. Following final argument, the trial judge ruled against appellant. Exception was noted. A motion for new trial was held and denied. The appellant noted an exception and perfected an appeal to this court for final redress. In one of the bill of exception, the appellant noted that the court erred in overlooking the testimony of the Queensville City Corporation as the entity responsible for managing Queensville City. The testimony essentially indicated that it was the Queensville City Corporation that authorized the demolition, which prosecution failed to report. On review of the records and the testimony of the witnesses, we are inclined to give credit to the testimony of the manager of the Queensville City Corporation, which was not reported by the prosecution. Accordingly, the ruling of the trial judge is reversed, and we so hope.
Another
This is for the giving the central law office. Like us,
another ruling reserving, reversing the initial ruling from the lower court in Georgia versus the Republic of Liberia case that was heard during this October term. Another information.
26, section 26.15 states that a person is guilty of criminal mischief if he damages tangible property of another purposely or recklessly. He damages tangible property of another negligently in a problem of fire, explosive, or other dangerous means listed in section 15.41c. Purposely or regularly tampers with property of another so as to injure person or property. And in all criminal trials, the prosecution carries the burden of establishing the guilt of the accused beyond a reasonable doubt, and when the prosecution fails in this regard, the accused is entitled to acquittal. And in this same case, the prosecution having failed to produce sufficient evidence to establish the guilt of the accused, criminal mischief would not lie as a matter of law. Wherefore, in view of the foregoing, the ruling of the trial judge of the First Division Second Court, criminal appeal was the county is hereby reversed.
The Supreme Court.
The court below provided the judge decided therein to resume the jurisdiction of this case and gave effect to this judgment. And it is hereby summoned. Keeping on our hands in the seal of the Supreme Court of Liberia, this second day of February 2026, signed Yami Koko Senior Chief Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Chief Sarah Howard Wonderful, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Joseph E. Kaba, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Senator Clinton Johnson, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Wanda M. Cullen, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia.
Another ruling They're reversing the initial ruling in the John Chala
The Minister
versus the
of Mines
Republic of
and
Liberia
Energy,
case.
represented by his Minister, Appellant, First Appellant and Atlantic Minerals Inc., represented by his corporate officers, Second Appellant, versus Liberia Mining Export Inc. I believe these were petitions for judicial review to stop objection.
This one that the RID, the State Cabinet will now speak for the court.
This appeal brings for review two fundamental issues. One is the application of
Judge Yusuf Kaba is now reading that particular ruling.
of the Mineral and Mining Act of 2000
Of the case
and the second
titled Ministry of Mines and Energy
whether
versus
in an administrative hearing the
a mining
person
company.
who was
I'll
not
definitely get the name right.
during the hearing of the restrictive tribunal, including the party during the review of the decision of the administrative tribunal. The fight is very, very simple and it's uncontested. The Ministry of Mines and Energy issued a license, exploration license, to the RPD here. The RPD is an Liberia Mineral Export Incorporated. And without the termination of the RPD's license, the ministry proceeded to issue another license to Atlantic Mineral Incorporated. When the RPD complained to the ministry conducted the investigation, and the investigation officer determined that we need, before terminating the license of the RPD here, the ministry did not give notice as required under section 9.14 of the Mineral and Mining Act of 2000. However, the hearing officer proceeded to affirm the decision of the ministry terminating the license of the RPD and upholding the license issue to the second appellant here, who was the Atlantic Mineral Incorporated. Not too happy with this decision of the ministry, the appellant, the Liberia Mineral Export Incorporated, pled to the circuit court, the Sixth Judicial Circuit, to review this decision of the Ministry of Mines and Energy. But in their petition to the Sixth Judicial Circuit, they included the Atlantic Mineral Incorporated, who was not a party during the administrative hearing before the Ministry of Mines and Energy. Atlantic filed a motion to dismiss. They could deny that motion. Who said no, because the party that is going to proceed to hear this matter and make a determination thereupon. With that being done, the court proceeded to hear the matter, and the court entered the final adjourning the Ministry of Mines and Energy hearing officers ruling as being reversible, reverse it, and order that the license of the appellee be restored and that Atlantic lesson be declared void. So the ministry and Atlantic had agreed that this decision of the circuit court and filed an appeal to this court. As I said, there is no dispute in the fight. And Section 9.14 is very, very clear. Section 9.14 says, if a person who has been issued an exploration license to do exploration in an area and the person default on setting up a requirement under the license, you must first give them notice of the default and give them the time for them to correct that default. And if they fail to do that, then you can proceed to cancel the license. But in the instant case, the ministry will provide any notice for the applicant procedure to cancel the license. And after that, before canceling the license, they have already issued the license for the same area to another person. That, on the part of the ministry, we find to be completely against the intent and spirit of Section 9.14. The second issue that we had was the one that has to do with how Atlantic answered the case here. We agreed definitely with Atlantic that once they were not party to the hearing in the court below, then of course you cannot make them party during the judicial review of the court. So we said that the trial judge should have given due consideration to Atlantic's position on this issue. But however, we stated that Atlantic was in privy with the Ministry of Mines and Energy in the act that was the subject of the claim, because Atlantic is the one that benefited. And in order for us to be able to restore the right of the mineral, the avenue, then of course we have to give due consideration to the act that was unlawfully committed by the Ministry of Mines and Energy when they issued license to Atlantic. So we determined that the license that was issued to Atlantic, being one that was issued in an area that had already been licensed, that license was void ab initio. Therefore, we order that the ministry proceed to restore the license of the applicant. This was our judgment.
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled.
This case was
The
called for
Supreme
your
Court has ruled in the Ministry of Mines, IPD in Atlanta case, ruling in favor of the Supreme Court that reversed the lower court's ruling.
Jimmy Saab was here at IPD, having heard arguments
IPD.
the facts and circumstances we hear by records and examine
A
the
mining
laws
company
including this year.
initially issued
That's
a
section 9
license
on 140
and
of
operational
the mineral
mining
mining
license in
law
the country
of
by
2000
the
requires
Ministry of Mines
to
and
put a
Energy.
license in the terminated for non-payment of fees or other defaults. The licensee must be served with a notice of default and given 60 days to cure the alleged breach. In the instant case, there is no evidence that the notice of default was served for the IPD before we examine the area covered by its mineral exploration license. The second applicant, the first applicant, was clearly in violation of the requirements of Section 9.14b of the Mineral and Mining Laws of 2000. Hence, the action of the first applicant was utter violence for abolition. And further, the petition for judicial review will allow only against parties who participated in administrative proceedings from which the petition arises. However, when an act or means of the administrative proceedings benefited the person who is in privy to a party with the proceedings, the outcome of the proceedings will affect that person. And in an instant case, it having been determined that the first applicant acted in violation of Section 9.14 of the Mineral and Mining Laws of 2000 when they terminated the applicant's license and signed the license error with the second applicant. This renders the license issued to the second applicant null and void ab initio. Wherefore, in view of the foregoing, the ruling of the trial judge is hereby affirmed. The clerk of this court is honored to send a mandate to the court below, commanding the judge presiding therein to resume litigation and proceed consistent with the judgment. Because it is allowed, it is hereby so ordered. Given under our hands, the seal of the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia, this 13th day of February 2026, signed Yami Okokwesi Senior, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Together, our colleague of Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Joseph B. Kabas, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Senate D. Clinton Johnson, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia. Waka M. Conant, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Liberia.
This is on TV. Thanks for joining us.
Black and March, Abian was Madam Letter House. I believe he were the action of the judgment is called projection.
Following the federal is locally with the House before the court.
The appellee, Madam Eliza, the City of Hope, instituted an action of rejectment against the appellant, Rakim Marshall, before the 6th Judicial Circuit, Civil Law Court, Montserrat County, alleging that she is the legitimate owner of 10 acres of land located in Virginia, Montserrat County, which the appellant, Rakim Marshall, had unlawfully encroached upon. Substantial portion thereof, and succeeded in selling it to several other persons. The appellant contended further that she acquired the property by inheritance from her grandparents, who had acquired it from the Republic of Liberia, and that she was issued a court decree by the Court for Montserrat County, which declared the intestate estate of Pamela, Ophelia Hawk, Blanche Marshall, Paulina Marshall, and Joe Isaac Marshall closed. The appellant, in his answer and motion to dismiss, prayed a court for the dismissal of the appellant's complaint on ground that he is the rightful owner of the disputed property, having purchased it from his grantor, Miss Rue Anna, in 1986, and had seen be registered and proving it. That the estate of Adam Marshall does not exist, such that the appellant's claim ownership of the disputed property as executed from Adam Marshall is misleading, since the appellants exhibit a factual complaint did not mention Isaac Marshall, or rather John Isaac Marshall. And that the appellant claims that the court decree declaring the estates of Carmetta, Blanche Marshall, Evelina Marshall, and John Marshall Cruz, and giving rise to the purported heritage was untrue, as both heritage deeds presented by the appellants were issued and signed on April 30, 2015, while the purported heritage deed granted to Peter Hawk was issued on April 8, 2015. Since it is impossible to have a heritage deed issued before a court being closed and tested. Well, to explain it short, the grandparents, the Indian, all had the property that went to the Republic of Liberia. And so, Carmetta, Hawk, Marlene, and Marshall, all of them, before her aunts and they went and had the estate closed. and they were getting curative. So when they died, apparently she was on the air, and when she went to the court, we should not have been giving her curative, but when again and gave her what they call curative, gave her curative for the essay. And that's what Rocket Marshall, you know Rocket Marshall, that's what Rocket Marshall basically is into. You should not have that curative. You should have gone there and writing letters of administration, you should have done this and that. So finally the court said, well, they should have curative. It was a mistake of the court. But from all indication and all investigation and evidence given, she was entitled to the property. And so the court ruled in favor of who the Rocket Marshall took an appeal. We review the evidence, and like we see, there is the trial jury that will determine the weight of the evidence. And unless we do not agree with the evidence, we see that we will uphold the verdict of the jury and affirm the court below, as the same case here to check that case. So the rule in favor of the appellant and the uphold the ruling of the court below.
So this case was called for hearing. Councilor Tommy and Dovah, the VI Associates of Family Field of Happiness. Councilor Jim Wilbur has been signed of the Law Offices of Science and decided and appeared for the appeal. Having reviewed the records here, the arguments and contentions amongst the councils representing the parties, and consider the relevant laws applicable thereto in this year by judge. It is the law in this jurisdiction that is plaintiff in judgment action must recover on the strength of his or her own acting, and now the witness of his adversary's acting, the jury being the exclusive judge as to what constitutes the prevalence of the evidence. The preference is to consider the whole volume of testimony, estimate, and with its value such that its verdict cannot be disturbed or whatever the court accept when seeing its manifestly against the weight of the evidence or the demonstrates that an abuse was committed, or that the jury was tampered with. There are further issues of law, in fact, that raised in pleadings, passed upon by the trial court, accepted to and contained in a bit of exceptions, cannot be considered by the court on appeal. And in this case, given the beliefs right to ownership of the disputed property being confirmed by the testimonies of several witnesses who testified in the trial, and the verdict of the trial jury upon waiting all the evidence having formed that belief as the record holder seemed inconsistent with law, said verdict cannot be disturbed. And that further, evidence having failed to plead or argue statute of limitations, which is an issue of law, in fact, to be considered by the jury in the court below, the whole evidence of Marshall's contention of being in possession of the property for about 20 years cannot be entertained or appealed at this court. Wherefore, before going the ruling of the court below, funding for, I believe, in the action of the judgment which here by a friend. The judge of this court is 100% demanded to the court below, honoring the judge decided getting to resume jurisdiction of this case and give himself this justice. Courts are ruled against the appellants in the hereby sworn. Giving on our hands in the seal of the Supreme Court of Liberia, the section today of February 18, 2026. Signed, Yami Prophet, Senior Chief Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Senator Howard, Locally Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Joseph B. Gaba, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Jenen D. Clement Johnson, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Robert M. Cannon, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Management of Notre Dame Investment Limited, Academic Purchase. Honorable Marcel B. Mopper, your officer, in the Ministry of Plants and Energy, release, appeal, teacher, review, self-addressment.
Again, this is actual emanation of the Ministry of Mines and Minerals. In this field, the continent moved and rose down into Nigeria and applied to the Ministry of Energy and Mines of Class B mining license. The Ministry granted the application and issued Class B mining license to those that under the law, the mineral law, for you to get Class B license, 60% of the share must be owned by the Nigerian citizen. But in spite of that, those that are 100% of the share owned by a foreigner, it was a clear violation of the mining law. The Ministry of Mines, they went ahead with all due diligence and issued an action to those owners. After a period of time, those owners realized that they were in error. Came back, amended his article of corporation, and this 60% of the shares were Nigerian citizens. Filed an amended application, amended article with the Ministry of Energy and Mines, who had already seen and began to do business with the ministry. Subsequently, after the issue of rules, the ministry revoked those ground license on grounds that, in the first place, the application of their first article of incorporation was illegal because they have 60% of the equity owned by Nigeria. The further contains that those guys still will pay tax or taxes for the period I was authorized or given the license. The further contains that the those guys also pay to commence operation in 1 year as required by law. They have said that. If you want to put the room, the party that certified fee to us, having examined the record, we disagree with the Ministry of Energy and Mines in the first place that having fee to do due diligence and giving license to a foreign company who operated on sale license. And the foreign company having voluntarily come back to them to file an inquiry and correct the error. That cannot be a basis for revocation of their license. In other words, if we benefiting from their own wrong. But those were done content for an argument that it did not be or it contains like this. Taxes for the period under review. But from the time that was had, we did not see record to that effect. And we all know it's necessary in this jurisdiction that one who alleges must prove. So if you claim that if the time that was going to pay taxes for it, the duty was on you. You gave a copy or did a trial copy of the license of the document of the tax that you paid as a proof. But that was not wrong. So we think that might not be true. Those down also contains that they did not start to operate 1 year now because the free port and the National Investment Commission did not give them the go ahead as required to start. And as far as they are concerned, they will hold themselves. This would disagree. We say that if you go to a free port, you are required to get a place or whatever to start. And if they don't do, there's a remedy at law. or there's a remedy in administrative procedure, in our mind, this is not full of job. We also see that based on the fact that those programs did not prove like pay for the period of co-economic or mineral area, they have it for years and don't pay money to hire stuff, so I will let I So obviously, working on the ground, move that if you go to investment commission, you are required to get a government to sign it, and investment commission, the most are open, they are ready, they are wrong. So an extension that will disallow the first ground for revoking a license and sustaining 2 separate grounds for revoking a license. Consequently, we compare the judgment to do. That was our journal.
This case was called for hearing on the jail, when the member and the associates in the chambers incorporated appear for happiness. Because that also received by Solicitor General of the Court of Liberia appear for that belief. Reading Massive and Williams appear for several belief. Having reviewed the records and arguments and contentions about
Supreme Court has ruled
consider the relevant laws
in favor of the Ministry of Mines and Energy
that is
for the revocation of Notre Dame operational license in the Republic of Liberia due to several violations that the mining company carried on.
Think cannot be a legal basis for the revocation of said license. But however, the applicant failure to pay taxes to the government of Liberia for the period granted under the license as required by law is a proper legal ground for revocation of said license, and that the agencies of government failure to comply or cooperate with applicant's request to provide the appropriate evidence. For applicant to commence operation, funds remedy in law, administrative procedure, and same cannot be considered as a force majeure. Wherefore, in the foregoing, the judgment of the lower court is hereby affirmed. The clerk of this court is hereby ordered to send a mandate to the court below, commanding the judge to rise therein in the jurisdiction of this case and give effect to this judgment. It is hereby so ordered. Because I rule against the applicant. Given on our hands and the seal of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia, this 13th day of February 18, 2026, signed Yami Progress Senior Chief Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. In Federal Howard Woodley, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. District D. Kala, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Janet D. Cleveland Johnson, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia. Bakari Mkani, Associate Justice Supreme Court of Liberia.
Boy, there you have it. It's on TV. We are coming to you live from the chambers of the court. Next is Justin Obaye's hands for making his case. The long-awaited ruling.
Madam Justice James Howard Olokole will now speak for the court. Joining on the bench.
So the court is about to rule in Prophet case. Justice James Howard Wolokoli will speak on behalf of the court or read the court's ruling. She's now adjusting, gearing up to read this.
On February 2026, is the Justin Park Museum, a contemporary hearing made and established a podcast on its social media platform. wherein he accused the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of acts of corruption. In addition thereto, the contender went further to levy prerogative, vulgarities, and penalties against the Chief Justice and the judiciary as a whole, and perplexingly against the Chief Justice's mother. On February 4, 2006, the Supreme Court invited the contender to appear before the full bench on Tuesday, February 10, 2026, to show cause why he should not be held in contempt of the Supreme Court for levying prerogative insults, disparities, and profanities against the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, and further against the mother of the Chief Justice. In February, the Supreme Court of Liberia appointed 2 amnesty security in person of councillors and Wilkins Wright and Richard A. Scott Jr. to aid the court in the determination of the suit. The contender appeared before legal counsel. He told the court that he had no legal counsel and requested the court to provide him with a counsel. Upon the advice of the amnesty period, the court referred the contender to the Public Defense Office, ordering that the contender be represented by 2 other defense counsels, to include the president of the Counsel Association and the coordinator of public defense programs. The hearing was continued until Thursday, February 13, 2026. The amnesty period appeared and filed an amended brief in which they presented the following 2 issues. 1, whether or not a person who engages in the use of invectives, vulgar language, naked abuse of womanhood, and indecent verbiage can justifiably claim or rely on the constitutional protection of freedom of speech or freedom of expression. 2, whether or not the court cares commentary by Mr. Justin Opa Lysian constitutes contempt of court where he falsely accused the Chief Justice and other members of the court for being corrupt, and where this court cares is carried live on Facebook. Councillor M. Williams Wright, speaking on behalf of the amnesty period, passionately spoke on the first issue, presenting that Article 15 of the Constitution of Liberia, 1986, provides that every person is entitled to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, and freedom of thought, except that such person is held responsible for an abuse thereof. That one who engages in the use of invectives, vulgar languages, abuse of womanhood, and indecent verbiage cannot rely on the constitutional protection of freedom of speech, as such expected would be the clear abuse of that right under the Constitution, and for which under the very Constitution that person has been held responsible therefore. That as Liberians we are free to discuss and express our views and opinions on issues trending in the society, but we should be mindful that our expressions are not unlimited. The amnesty period referred to other restrictions regarding fundamental freedom. They refer to Article 14 of the Constitution that says that all persons shall be entitled to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment thereof, except as may be required by law to protect public safety, order, health, or moral, or the fundamental rights and freedom of others. Freedom under this article of the Constitution, the amnesty period stated, is not absolute, and it can be limited by judicial actions in proceedings grounded with defamation or invasion of the rights of privacy and publicity, or in the commercial aspects of expression and deception, false advertisement, and copyright infringement. Referring to the expressions used by the contender in its court case, abusing the Chief Justice and others, and going further to use some degrading expressions as regards the Chief Justice's mother private parts, the amnesty period said that on their face they are defamatory, vulgar, and indecent, and therefore would be actionable. They concluded that the contender violated the rights of his former Chief Justice and the mother of Chief Justice, and has abused and cast expressions pressure on Liberian womanhood, and for which the Honorable Supreme Court of Liberia should adjudge the contender guilty of violating his freedom of expression as guaranteed by the Constitution, and for which he must be sanctioned and punished accordingly, since these inclusions for guarantees are clearly an abuse of freedom of speech, which are protected constitutional perimeter of Article 14 and Article 15. And the contender demeaning and insulting words against the Chief Justice and his mother can only be seen as one intended to reduce the Supreme Court to public ridicule while at the same time undermining the dignity of the Supreme Court of Liberia. Damis further expounded that the same Constitution in granting freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of thought, etc., also provides for the protection of and preservation of positive Liberian tradition, culture, and values. And it's Article 5b, that vulgar, abusive, uncivilized, and unacceptable language cannot be said to protect positive Liberian culture and preserve Liberian values, and to abuse and violate colloquially woman cuss is very un-Liberian and does not represent our true Liberian culture and values. And this is no tradition of culture that a true Liberian would want to pass down to its children or next generation. The Amnesty Bureau said that they emphatically condemn, denounce, and despite the behavior, the conduct, the action, and the verbiage of the contender, and say that it ought not to be repeated, and say that it ought not to be repeated, and advise that such behavior be strongly condemned and severely punished to serve as deterrent for others who have such inclination. The Amnesty Bureau said that the right of the government to ensure the freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, and freedom of religion are to be exercised in an orderly manner is constitutional guarantee in Article 5b, which states the Republic of Liberia shall preserve, protect, and promote positive Liberian culture, ensuring that traditional values which are compatible with public policy and national progress are adopted and developed as an integral part of the growing needs of the Liberian society. The egregious verbal insults rendered on the Supreme Court Justice and his mother cannot be characterized as a language that should be promoted, preserved, and protected as a positive Liberian culture. The contender should be punished for the abuse thereof. Referring to the second question raised, that is whether or not the podcast commentary by the contender constitutes contempt of court, where he falsely accused the Chief Justice and other members of the court of being corrupt, and where his broadcast was carried live from Facebook The Army Security answered this question in the affirmative and said the contender should be adjudged guilty of criminal contempt, the punishment for which will rest in the sound judicial discretion of the court. Speaking of contempt, the Supreme Court, in a unanimous opinion delivered by his owner, Mr. Justice S. Raymond Corey Sr., declared as follows: the Supreme Court has an inherent power not only to punish for contempt of court, but to determine what constitutes contempt. Also, any act which tends to belittle, degrade, obstruct, interrupt, or prevent the court's administration of justice is contemptuous, and is Francis G. in Francis G. Sr., 1974. The contender, Mr. Lucian, appeared as follows: represented by Councilor Joseph Dipley, coordinator of the Public Defense Program of Liberia, and Councilor Benson D. Joab, President of the National Association of Public Defenders of Liberia, counsel for the contender, filed a contender suit raising a simple or a single issue. And the issue is whether or not, under the facts and circumstances, the frontiers published by Mr. Lizzie constitute contempt of court. The contenders counsels, as further agreed, stated that the purpose of a criminal contempt is to vindicate the dignity of the court against all acts and bring the court into disrespect, all acts and bring the court into disrespect or undermine its authority, and that the punishment therefore should lie in the sound discretion of the honorable courts. Admitting that the vulgarity and other invectives spewed upon the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, the judges of Supreme Court, of subordinate courts, and the judiciary as a whole was contemptuous, the councilors, I will say, that in a conference with Mr. Zia, he expressed his regret and expressed remorse for his unwholesome acts and actions against the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, for unwholesome acts and actions against the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, judges of the subordinate court and the judiciary as a whole, and pray that the contenders justice with mercy, that further he will find a behavior wrong with the court, committing not to conduct himself in any manner of form that harms the reputation of the judiciary now and in the future.
Yes.
Having heard from the Army Security and the councilors representing the contender, the court thanks the Army Security for the work and the support to the court in such a short notice, and the Defense Counsel for meeting up with their obligation. As espoused in several of his opinions, the court has decided that it will decide which issues are determinative of forgiving fees, and that it needs not discuss every issue presented by the parties. The court therefore considers the rule issue whether the contenders' derogative insults, vulgarity, profanity against the Chief Justice, Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, as well as against the decency of a woman, falls within the constitutional perimeter of free speech. Freedom of speech is a fundamental right that is constitutionally protected by Article 15 of the Liberian Constitution. And it allows all persons the right to express their views, opinions, or ideas. It reads, every person shall have the right to freedom of expression, being fully responsible for the abuse thereof. This right shall not be curtailed, restricted, or enjoyed by government, save during an emergency declared in accordance with this Constitution. B. The right encompasses the right to hold opinions without interference and the right to knowledge. It includes freedom of speech and one of the press and of the press, academic freedom to receive and impart knowledge and information, and the right of libraries to make such knowledge available. It includes non-interference with the use of the mail, telephone, and telegraph. It likewise includes the right to remain silent. C. In pursuit of this right, there shall be no limitation of the public right to be informed about the government and its functionaries. D. Access to state-owned media shall not be denied because of any disagreement with or dislike of the ideas expressed. Denial of such access may be challenged in the court of competent jurisdiction. E. This freedom may be limited only by judicial actions in proceedings grounded in defamation or invasion of the rights of privacy and publicity, or in the commercial aspect of expression in deception, false advertising, and copyright infringement. The constitutional right to speak freely is synonymous and analogous to the right of freedom of conscience, opinion, and religious, as articulated in Article 14 of the Constitution and as espoused above. This provision of the Constitution reads, all persons have been entitled to freedom of conscience, religion, thought, and no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment thereof, except as may be required by law, to protect public safety, order, health, or morals, or in the fundamental rights and freedoms of others. The caveat is clause in Article 14 and 15 of the Constitution of Liberia seek to hold the element of right and law and order, and prevents us from succumbing to being a beastly state, and to elevate us to human decency. Morality and ethics remain as aspiration for the exercise and enjoyment of rights, and emphasis on morality and ethics are guided principles which must help keep order in the society. Profanity, and vulgarity are barriers to be set as against the true intent of Article 15 of the Constitution, especially if our nation will be placed among the community of nations. The contender in his answer to the question posed by the bench stated that individuals come to him and reported dissatisfaction with issues, and he, as an influencer, speaks on their behalf. Obscenity and invasive toward individual womanhood is clearly against public order. The law seeks to ensure order. Should the court and those who have been entrusted by the law to man our courts be hesitant to act when an institution comes under attack? As stated, of careful view of this constitutional provision regarding the right to free speech, the freedom of thought, conscience, or religion is not absolute. It's not absolute. Rather, the same constitution that guarantees freedom of expression also places a caveat or condition on the speaker to be fully responsible for his abuse in exercising such rights. A constitutional caveat of protection ensures that freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, and freedom of religion are not to be exercised in an abusive manner as they are intended to preserve public safety, sanctity, and order. As Ambassador emphasized, the right of the government to ensure that freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, and freedom of religion are exercised in an orderly manner is constitutional guarantee in Article 5B. We state the Republic and the state shall preserve, protect and promote positive Liberian culture, ensure that traditional values which are compatible with public policy and national progress are adopted, and developed as an integral part of the growing needs of the Liberian society. Given the express language of Article 5B, it can emphatically be stated that the egregious verbal insults spewed out against the Supreme Court Chief Justice and his mother cannot be characterized as a language that should be promoted, preserved, and protected as a positive Liberian culture. Neither can this court or any reasonable person accept such egregious vulgarity as something compatible with public policy and national progress that should be adopted and developed as an integral part of the growing needs of our Liberian society. Therefore, since the Supreme Court is an integral part of the Republic with a legal duty to protect and defend not just its image, but also uphold Article 5B of the Constitution by ensuring that all free speech and actions must be designed to preserve, protect, and promote positive Liberian culture and traditional values which are compatible with public policy and national progress. The Supreme Court in this light must exercise its constitutional power of contempt and send a very strong message through these contempt proceedings that will serve as deterrent to the contemptor and would-be abuser of free speech. The contemptor, though having apologized to me at the parents before us, this court says that it is not convinced that his apology was well intended, as he stood and spoke for more than 50 minutes. And it was only when his attention was brought by a member of the bench to his counsel's statements that he stated that he regretted his action and promised to desist from further vulgarity and profanity against individuals, particularly the woman that he said I'm sorry. Accordingly, this bench, pursuant to its inherent power, to not only punish for contempt, but to also determine what constitutes contempt, hereby adjudges the contemptor guilty of contempt of the Honorable Supreme Court of Nigeria, and declares that its conduct in spewing out invectives, abuses, and indecent languages constitute a violation of the constitutional right to freedom of expression. Wherefore, and in view of the foregoing, the court having found the contender guilty of criminal contempt, and the court hereby of criminal guilty of criminal contempt, the court hereby imposes a definite and such imprisonment term of 6 months.
This is OTV. I'm Nelson Colette. Thanks for joining us. The court's ruling is being read.
The court hereby imposes a definite and such imprisonment term of 6 months or 180 calendar days at the Monrovia Central Prison, and that prior to his release, he is hereby ordered to publish a letter of apology to the Supreme Court and all Liberians, especially women, in 3 widely circulated newspapers for 5 consecutive days. And in addition, he is further ordered, as a precondition for his release, to execute and file a behavior warrant with the clerk of the Supreme Court of Liberia to clearly indicate that he would never use invectives, vulgar languages, or finity against any Liberian. The term of imprisonment is to take immediate effect as of the date of rendition of this opinion and handing down of this document. And it is hereby so ordered. Look, this subject, this is your.
Well, folks, School TV, thanks for showing us Prophet Key, just by Isaiah.
And working inspired, the wages are coming fully for the country. Appear as honestly created on the court. Councillor Steve Joseph B. Devin and President B. Dwight Senior appear for the country law. Having reviewed the records and the arguments and contentions advanced by the committee student and the councils representing the container, the hereby judge. The Article 5 of 1986 Constitutional Constitution authorizes the state to ensure that all free speech and action must be designed to preserve, protect, and promote positive agricultural and traditional values which are compatible with public policy and national progress. The Article 14 of the 1986 Liberian Constitution also provides that all persons shall be entitled to freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, and freedom of religion, and no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment thereof, except as may be required by law to protect public safety, order, health, or moral, or the fundamental rights and freedoms of others. Article 15 of the 1986 Liberian Constitution guarantees freedom of speech to all citizens, but with the caveat that the individual shall be responsible for their views thereof. That Liberia as a civilized African nation respect and recognize the cultural and traditional norms that guide our civilized nations and respect the womanhood of all women. And in an instant case, the container having over the years engaged in methods, vigor, languages, affinity, outright abuse against criminal Liberians, especially women, and now the mother of the sitting Chief Justice, his action run contrary to the spirit, letters, and intent of the Constitution. Hence, his actions constitute contempt of the Honorable Supreme Court and punishable as such. Wherefore, in the foregoing, the container is hereby judged guilty of criminal contempt, and the court hereby imposes a definite and certain imprisonment term of 6 months or 180 calendar days at the Monrovia Central Prison, and the prior to his release, is hereby ordered to publish a letter of apology to the Supreme Court and to all Liberians, especially Liberian women, in 3 widely circulated newspapers for 5 consecutive days, and in addition, is further ordered as a pre-condition to its release to execute and file the behavior on the threat of the Supreme Court, clearly indicating that he would never use the ethics of legal languages, affinity, or outright abuse of any Liberian. This order takes immediate effect and is hereby so ordered. Giving on our hands in the seal of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Nigeria, this 13th day of February 2026, signed Yami Kosovo Senior, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Nigeria. James Abraham Wolverine, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Nigeria. Joseph B. Kaba, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Nigeria. Zenan B. Clinton Johnson, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Nigeria. Father N. Cannon, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of Nigeria.
This is On TV. Thanks for joining us. We are coming to you live from
obedient
the
to the
main
master,
chambers of the Temple of Justice, where Justin Opayenzi, the sheriffs of the Supreme Court, now take possession of Justin Opayenzi, then escort him to the Monrovia Central Prison. Spoon TV, Nelson Collier, coming to you live from the main chambers. So there you have it. Justin Opayenzi is seated right here. The sheriff. There you have Justin Opayenzi. There, his wife seated next to him. You're passing down? Okay, so Justin Opayenzi. Let's go. Taking the court has taking charge of Justin Opayenzi. Please excuse me. One second. Is it from here? And the entrance is? Okay. So there you have it. Justin Opayenzi has been the sheriff has now taken charge of Justin Opayenzi, who has been found guilty by the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia for contempt. He's going to be remanded in prison at the Monrovia Central Prison for 6 months and 190 calendar days.
Oh, is it downstairs?
Escorted. You'll be taken to the Monrovia Central Prison. This is where we are. He is the sheriff is going to see will very shortly put a cuff on the hands of Justin Opayenzi. This is by the sheriffs. He's going to until Justin
Help the walkway, please. Help the walkway, please.
And of course,
coming down. Coming down.
Of Nigeria national. Alright, so this is where we are, School TV. See, well-built sheriffs are now escorting Justin Opayenzi, members of the. Okay, so he's saying that. As to who's exactly going to suffer. Yeah, what did he say? Who is the sheep? Who is the sheep? You continue. Are you going to continue this party of advocacy? Okay, so folks, we are still here. Well-built security officers are here. Officers of the Liberia National Police.
This is the madam of Prophet Key.
Okay.
Madam,
okay, welcome to TV. Your husband for 6 months. You say your husband will walk out and free me, and now he's going to jail for 6 months. What can you say about that?
You get nothing to say.
She ain't got nothing to say? You are the special aide to Prophet Key. What do you have to say about this?
Nothing to say.
Do you feel disappointed?
There are several cases around the country. Since the Supreme Court has said any case will hold on outside the kingdom right here.
Do you think insulting other women in the country is the right thing? Your prophet has been doing over the years. So you're disappointed right now?
I'm disappointed in the system. I have been saying
But you told the prophet why not to speak, but you yourself you're speaking.
yeah, I'm speaking.
Are you the official spokesperson? Okay. Madam Yense, how do you feel your husband is going to South Beach now? All right. Prophet Key's wife is not saying a word at the moment. This is Spoon TV and Nelson Colette. We are here live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Okay. So we are going to wait it. All right, so he's currently in the public defender's office. His wife at some point went into a very harsh exchange with the head of the public defenders. Prophet Key is in here. He's going to jail for 6 months. The court says it is setting precedent, and this case is a landmark case. The court, of course, went ahead to get the legal interpretation of freedom of speech. What freedom of speech entails under the laws, what the legal interpretation of freedom of speech is. And of course, based on these interpretations, the court rendered a judgment today. Prophet Key was initially given a citation, and a communication was addressed to him to have him appear before the court to say why he shouldn't be held in contempt. After 2 days, or let's make it 3 days into this entire process, Prophet Key is finally going behind bars. He's going to be escorted shortly at the Monrovia Central Prison, where he's going to spend 180 days, 180 calendar days, or 6 months upon serving his term. Prophet Key is expected to file a behavior bond with the court, the clerk of the court, do publications in 3 local dailies, apologizing to the court, the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia, and women who have been victimized, and the use of invectives that he has exercised over the years throughout his advocacy. This is the happening here. You see well-built sheriffs or officers of the Liberia National Police guarding the very entries of this office where Prophet Key has been taken to. His legal representative went into a paper exchange. They are now looking for the wife of Prophet Key to come and get his items, his things that he came up here with, because it is most likely that Prophet Key may not leave from here as well dressed and dignified as he walked in here. This is Spoon TV. I'm Nelson Colette. Thanks for joining us. We are coming to you live from the 3rd floor of the Temple of Justice at the office of the public defenders, I think, where the office. Okay, so this is where we are, and Prophet Key was being escorted by huge security presence, officers of the Liberia National Police, and sheriffs from the court, and of course making the necessary adjustments in there. It is highly likely that Prophet Key will leave from that room handcuffed as he gets escorted in the van that's going to take him at the Monrovia Central Prison. This is Spoon TV, and of course we are hosted making sure we bring you all of the happenings here every step of the way. Thanks for joining us. The wife of Prophet Key. There's a service call for her at the moment. And the sheriff are trying to get her to get the rest of the things, the belongings of Prophet Key, so as to make sure that everything is safe. This whole thing started as an advocacy. Prophet Key has been widely known across social media to be an advocate for some. For some people, he has been a hero. For some, he has been a flow fighter. For some of them, he has been that person who was a fearless fighter, who is a fearless fighter. He has taken on so many advocacies over the years. At some point, Prophet Key was on live tape on his live broadcast, raining invectives at the former president of the Republic of Liberia, the wife of the former president of the Republic of Liberia, and other top officials of government, to include the former vice president of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Jewel Howard Taylor. Madam Judy Andy was his latest female victim who fled legal proceeding, who decided to take him to court. And of course, that case ended in deadlock. It was fruitless. It fell flat to the ground. Judy Andy at some point accused the executive, accused the president of the Republic of Liberia of being the one who, sorry, not the president, but she accused the legal advisor to the president of being the one who protected Prophet Key at the time. Councillor Buju Ben Keita came under fierce attack by some women who thought that Madam Judy Andy, the former culture ambassador, had a strong point. But today is just another day in Liberia. Prophet Key has been regarded as a fearless fighter by some people, but so many people have also seen Prophet Key as that man who had absolutely no regard for womanhood. There have been several victims of his advocacies over the years, and so many people out there, and even in the courtroom following the handling down of the guilty verdict for contempt by the highest court in the land, were seen smiling as the entire place got, okay, so the wife of Prophet Key is coming back, apparently to get his things. So there you have it. She's walking in there as she's expected to get his belongings. And this is the very wife of the prophet who was interviewed the first day when they arrived at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. And she was on live camera, viewed from across the world, when she said, the prophet has done nothing wrong. Words are meant to be used. Her husband used the words that are meant to be used, and that her husband was going to walk out of this place a free man. But despite that high optimism, being very sure that her husband was going to walk out, all of that had ended up just on the contrary, as her husband, probably for the first time, is going to spend 6 months or 180 calendar days behind bars at the Monrovia Central Prison. On the flip side, Prophet Key, during his first appearance here at the Temple of Justice, when he was asked as to what happens if he goes to jail following this entire process, he says it wouldn't be a bad thing because everything in jail will be given to him free. At this point, it appears that that very statement is about to become a reality, as Prophet Key will any moment from now be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. This is OWN TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nelson Collier, and we are posted here on the 3rd floor of the Temple of Justice, right before the very office Prophet Key has been escorted to. We're yet to establish what's happening in there, but it is most likely that the prophet who just walked out handcuffed, as he get to be escorted to the van, the very van that's going to take him down towards South Beach or at the Monrovia Central Prison. This, for so many people, is a clear precedent that the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia has been able to set. The Supreme Court, for some, have laid the benchmark, have set the threshold as to what can or cannot be done as far as free speech and freedom of expression is concerned under the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. There has been so much struggle with respect to the clear definition of free speech, what is contained and what the average Liberian citizen can do or cannot do under the free speech doctrine in the Constitution of Liberia. But today has set a new pace, a new threshold has been set, a clear interpretation has been made by the highest court of the land, and Liberians in and out of Liberia are watching eagerly. This is Spoon TV. Thanks for joining us. That should be the mother of... Okay. All right. Okay. So, sorry, not his mother, but she's a staff here at the judiciary, at the Temple of Justice. But yeah, so we're still posted here. The Supreme Court has set precedent, laying down a clear rule, making a clear constitutional interpretation of what free speech entails. Moving forward, pundits are beginning to predict that there will be a shift as to how advocacies and alterations are made, not just on the social media, but across radio as well. This is Spoon TV. We're here, posted live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice, third floor. Down, as you look over the yard of the Temple of Justice, Liberians have queued in here. You have the police cruisers. You have the police cruisers parked with the lights flickering at the very top, as Liberians are expressing mixed views on this very issue. There are some who, from the very onset of this case, had the thoughts, had the views that the Supreme Court was not proceeding rightly. And of course, their view was that this issue falls within free speech, and there was absolutely no need for the Supreme Court to have extended an invite to Prophet Key, while there are others who have held the view since the inception of this entire case that the conduct of Prophet Key over the years has been a slap in the face of decency in the Liberian society. Spoon TV, I'm Nelson Collier, live from the third floor here at the Temple of Justice. The wife of Prophet Key is now leaving. Hello, how are you, ma'am?
I said, don't bring that shit to me.
Are you insulting? How do you feel about your husband going to jail for 6 months? All right. So the wife of the prophet is insulting, but her husband has been sent to jail for insulting. Meanwhile, she's insulting using vocal languages. But we're going to remain posted here and see how we can get this going on. Thanks to all of you watching Spoon TV. This is Nelson Collier. We are coming to you live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Justice is being served. That's what a lot of people are saying, while others see this latest decision from the highest court in the land as a slap in the face of justice. And the different positions are determined by where one sits at a time, and based on the different positions, based on the different lenses that citizens are using to examine this proceeding, that's how they get to determine whether or not this latest decision from the highest court is the best in the very interest of the country. This is Spoon TV. Meanwhile, the grounds of the Temple of Justice, the courtyard remains crowded, vehicle packed from every end. Liberians at the far end there from the Capitol building, peeping in as well to know as to what's happening here. All right, as you see from the far end, that's the grounds of the legislature, just adjacent the Temple of Justice, and opposite the executive mansion. All three branches of government form a perfect alignment, situated at the heart of Capitol Hill, where laws are made, justice is served, and of course, the executive powers get to execute The wife of the prophet is being engaged by a crowd of journalists, but she's being advised not to speak. As most of you are aware, when I engaged the wife of the prophet, she used a word that I will not say here. The wife of the prophet insulted, though her husband is being taken to jail today for insulting. But this right here is what the situation is. Thanks for watching Spoon TV. The atmosphere is charged. Huge security presence here. The Liberia National Police has brought out her best in terms of providing maximum security. Well-built sheriffs are here as well, as the police cruiser remains parked at the very entrance of the Temple of Justice. Thanks for joining us. A human shield has been created, as you see there. Officers of the Liberia National Police have built a human shield at that end as they await the arrival of Justin Opayezien. We are hopeful of having a word with him, maybe the last word before he leaves for the Monrovia Central Prison. We are hopeful of getting the prophet to talk to us, to tell us exactly what he makes of this entire happening here. But while he was being escorted by the sheriffs and officers of the Liberia National Police, I did hear the prophet say, Prophet Key, Justin Opayezien, I did hear him say that poverty will strike her, death will strike her, and he will still insult her, he will still curse her. Who is the her he was talking about? We're yet to establish that. But it appears to be the her who read the very ruling of the Supreme Court, Justice James Enter Wolokoli, who read the decision of the Supreme Court. From his comportment and his utterances as he walked down the stairs, it appeared that the prophet Justin Opayezien isn't going to change at all, even after his release from prison. He said he will continue, he will insult her, and poverty will strike her. But this is the atmosphere here, and we're going to remain posted, making sure we can bring you all of the happenings here from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Spoon TV, thanks for joining us. I'm Nelson Colette. Diamond Slanger is downstairs along with the rest of the team. I managed to have made my way up here. We have the team posted at the Monrovia Central Prison as well to bring you the happenings from there once Prophet Key and the rest of the folks arrive there, to bring you timely capture of all of the happenings there at the Monrovia Central Prison. So in the meantime, I remain posted here to bring you up to speed with all of the happenings as it unfolds. A lot of people see this day as a new dawn, a fresh start, a new beginning for decency in the airways in Liberia. Most of you are aware that Justin Opayezien happened to be one of those who campaigned and who supported and who raised funds as well, used a social media platform to raise funds that were used to support the campaign activities of this that support the campaign activities leading to the victory of this very government now. And about 2 years after this government he campaigned for, rally support for, used his platform to tell people to vote for, about 2 years after taking office under this very government, under this administration, the very administration he has called his own over the years, he's going to jail for the first time in 6 months. For the first time, he's going to jail for 6 months. He has carried on this advocacy for so many years in the country. He's on record for insulting so many prominent Liberian citizens, including the President of the Republic of Liberia, former President of the Republic of Liberia, former Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, former First Lady of the Republic of Liberia, and other high-profile officials of government. Justin Opa Yezin has attributed his conduct over the years to frustration, and he has said repeatedly, especially so before the full bench of the Supreme Court, that he did what he did due to frustration. He was seriously disappointed in the conduct of some public officials in the country, and that led to him really invectives and insulting and taking on the style of advocacy he exhibited over the years. But this is where we are. And of course, on this 13th day of February 2026, a lot of people say it is going to go down in history as that day when a vocal prophet who reinvented for so many years is going to go down in history, that for the first time in so many years, the prophet is going to jail. Thanks for watching Spoon TV. I'm Nelson Colette. We are coming to you live from the third floor here at the Temple of Justice in Monrovia. In a moment from now, Prophet Key will be coming out. And once he does, we are hopeful of having a word with him. Maybe his last word before he leaves for the Monrovia Central Prison. But the atmosphere here is charged. Huge security presence. Officers of the Liberia National Police from here on the third floor and even in the courtyard. Heavy security presence here. And we're looking forward to seeing what happens next. We look forward to see what happens next. But in the meantime, you can keep watching Spoon TV as we are strategically posted to bring you the real action that you wouldn't get anywhere else, right here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Some of the staffers here at the Temple of Justice are watching as well eagerly to see what happens. A few of them are strategically posted as well from that end to capture the very moment that we'll see the prophet walking out. We're yet to establish as to whether the prophet will walk out in the very coat that he came in here with. We're yet to establish as well as to whether the prophet will walk out freely or as to whether he's going to come out in handcuffed. That's something that we're yet to establish. But he's still in there. And it remains unclear as to what the activity is that's going on in there. But we remain posted here to make sure that we can bring you all of the happenings every step of the way. It's a busy day in Monrovia today, folks. Fridays are usually time, but this Friday is very different. A Friday that is seen, that is going to go down in history as that very day when the prophet was taken to jail. All right, so folks, we're still here, posted. We want to make sure we can bring you up to speed with everything happening here. The Prophet Key, will probably have his last media engagement here for before leaving for the Monrovia Central Prison. It's a very engaging activity here, very tense as well. And the court fearlessly, without fear or favor, it appears, the court without fear or favor, or fearlessly, let me put it that way, read out the ruling so loudly. Quick observation, there were several cases that the court handed down ruling in. And today being that day that the court closes for the October term of court, the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia handed down rulings in several cases that were heard during the October term of court. And some of those cases took just less than 5 minutes. It took less than 5 minutes to have the Supreme Court handed down the ruling and reading the court's decision. But when it came to Justin Opa Yenze's own case, it took more than 20 minutes. More than 20 minutes as the court read the different arguments, the different presentations, what triggered the entire situation, and what the court decision is, and what the penalties are. It took about 20 minutes, folks. And then we are still here, posted live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice, 3rd floor, making sure we can bring you all of the happiness here. This is Spoon TV, and I want to welcome all of you. I want to say thanks to everyone for joining us. All right, so we are going to have a security presence posted very well, very tightly. Officers of the Liberia National Police, series of conversations, engagements, and interactions going on in there. Thanks for joining us. The Prophet is going to be taken to jail. The Prophet is going to spend his first night behind bars tonight at the Monrovia Central Prison. Right, folks. Thanks for joining us again. We're still here live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice, Spoon TV, and we are posted here to bring you all of the happenings every step of the way. As Justin Opa Yezian is expected to has been taken in the very room or the very office we're standing before here, and we look forward to seeing what happens hereafter. We look forward to seeing what happens, but it is most likely that Justin Opa Yezian could leave that room handcuffed. The police cruiser is parked downstairs. Liberians have gathered here in very good number, and everyone is watching to see what happens as Justin Opa Yezian will very shortly be escorted. Okay, so there you have it. Perfect Key is in handcuffed. Perfect Key is in handcuffed already. Okay, so the prophet has been handcuffed. He wants to use the bathroom. He has asked to use the bathroom. Sorry. As we speak, this is the happening here right now. Justin Opa Yezian, also known as Prophet Key, we just saw him handcuffed. He has asked to use the bathroom, and we are looking forward to seeing if to make sure as to whether what we saw is true. All right, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice, third floor, where Perfect Key has now been handcuffed. Perfect Key has now been handcuffed. He has asked to use the bathroom. We just saw him handcuffed, and we are going to capture that very moment where Justin Opa Yezian, also known as Prophet Key, will be leaving the bathroom. We are posted at the very entrance at the door here to bring you all of the happenings. Thanks for joining us. Spoon TV. I'm Nelson Collier, and this is where we are. Okay. Okay. So PK. Okay. You think it's because of the Liberian people? So, but you apologize and you're of the Supreme Court.
But the boy they play a post I called you here. They say I called how you drive what you know. You know, that's what they plan for me.
Alright, so the Prophet Key have said the sheriffs or the full bench of the Supreme Court planned for him. You just saw Prophet Key in handcuffed. He said the full bench of the Supreme Court planned for him, and that what is happening to him now is because of the Liberian people. Prophet Key just came out, and we can tell you that Prophet Key is in handcuffed right now. Prophet Key is in. Prophet Key have been handcuffed. Prophet Key have been handcuffed, and the prophet has been handcuffed here. He's still in there, but he's telling us that everything that's happening to him now is because of the Liberian people. Thanks for joining us. Spoon TV. Thanks for joining us. All right, so we are getting signal that Prophet Key towards he will be taken at the Monrovia Central Prison. In a moment from now, Prophet Key will be taken at the Monrovia Central Prison. There are movements, there are indications that just any moment from now, Prophet Key will be taken at the Monrovia Central Prison. So yes, this is where we are, folks. We are now going to see the prophet, Prophet Key, walk out of this place any moment from now. There are movements going on now, and the prophet is expected to leave here very shortly. Spoon TV, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Let's remain posted as Prophet Key will very shortly be taken out of here. Prophet Key will very shortly be taken out of here. He's going to be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. From the look of things, folks, Prophet Key is going to explore. He's going to speak out. From what I saw just a couple of minutes ago when he came out to use the bathroom, Prophet Key is going to speak out. Prophet Key is ready to speak out. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, folks. We are posted, all right, to bring you all of the happiness here. We are posted to bring you all of the happiness here, right at the very entrance where Prophet Key is expected to pass to make his way at the Monrovia Central Prison. That's where we are. We are going to bring you we are going to capture all of the moments from this very strategic post and make sure that we can bring you up to speed with everything happening here. Prophet Key has been charged with contempt. He's guilty of contempt, and the court says it falls within the purview of the court to determine what contempt is. Following that decision, the court then render the decision to have Prophet Key taken to the Monrovia Central Prison. He's going to be there for 180 calendar days or 6 months in prison. That's exactly his sentence. A fine of he's going to be made to make 3 publications in widely read local dailies in the country, and to file a behavior bond to the court before the clerk of the court, giving them a guarantee that he is never, ever going to repeat what he did that led him to prison. And so we are posted here. We want to make sure we can capture all of the happenings, as Prophet Key will very shortly be made to he will very shortly be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. So the prophet has been in there for close to an hour now, and we are expected to see the prophet be escorted Spoon TV. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. We are posted live in Central Monrovia on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. We are posted live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. And this is where we are, folks. This is the first major major or landmark case brought before the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Judge Yami Kwekwe Gbese, in less than 1 year following his appointment as Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, following his confirmation by the very Liberian Senate. Justice Yami Kwekwe Gbese, Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, has set precedent. They've set precedents, folks. And what we see here today is going to clearly determine how free speech get to be practiced in Liberia moving forward. It's a landmark case here. It's a very defining moment for the media space in Liberia, and that is inclusive of radio and social media. Liberia is about to witness a shift, especially in the way the choice of words that are being used during advocacies by social media influencers or talk show hosts across the country. And the doors keep opening and closing. The doors keep opening and closing. The prophet will very shortly be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. Thanks for watching Spoon TV. I'm Nelson Collier. And we are posted here live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. We are posted here live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Liberia is witnessing a new day, a new dawn for free speech. It's yet another day in the country when Liberians get to have a clear meaning of what free speech actually is. And this is where we are. The sheriffs are going in and coming out. The officers of the Liberia National Police remain posted at the very entrance. The prophet is in there. He's been there for close to an hour now. And we are yet to establish what the arrangements or conversations are that are going on behind these doors. Spoon TV, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, folks. And we are here. We remain posted at this very entrance. Behind these doors, you have Prophet Key. And Justin Opa Yezien is posted behind these doors, handcuffed as we speak, awaiting his transfer at the Monrovia Central Prison. What is going to happen hereafter? That's something that remains unclear for now. But what we can say for a fact is that what started as a jubilation for Justin Opa Yezien has turned to a very sad story here for him. What started up as a jubilation for Justin Opa Yezien has turned to a very sad situation here for him. So we remain posted bringing you all of the happenings here at the grounds of the Temple of Justice as we continue this very important live broadcast or updates here. The outside seems very jammed. Journalists have queued in their numbers, fleets of vehicles, every corner of the parking lot jam-packed. The police cruiser down there with the lights flickering from every corner with the inscription Liberia National Police to serve and protect. While all of that is happening, we remain all right. So yes, we are still here. There are indications that very shortly everything is going to be over here. There are indications that the Prophet Key, will be taken out of this place and escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison very shortly. What we are getting is that the Prophet Justin Opa Yezian will very shortly be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. Arrangements are being made, conversations are being held, and this is where we are. Thanks for joining us. All right, so very shortly, folks, the moments you've been eagerly waiting to see is just about coming to reality here as Liberians remain posted. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, folks. So we remain posted here to bring you all of the updates as it unfolds. Liberia, the Constitution of Liberia has once more been interpreted in a very fast. The Constitution of Liberia has once more been interpreted here. And going through this case and looking at everything that's transpired here for the past couple of days reminds so many people about the Council of Gloria Mususcat case. There was another landmark case at the time under the gavel of Chief Justice Siane Yo, and that case sparked public concerns. It was a defining moment for the legal system in the country when Liberians witnessed or watched the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, being escorted at the Monrovia Central Prison. Today, we are talking about an influential figure someone who has been regarded over the time as a fighter, a man of the people. Justin Opa Yezian, popularly known as Prophet Key, Julie Andy cried, former President George Weah cried, the wife of former President George Weah cried, the former Vice President of the Republic of Liberia at some point was a victim of his advocacy. But today, justice is being served as so many people perceive it. Today, the rule of law or the Constitution has been interpreted. This is the case right here. We are going to remain posted here, folks, and bring you all of the happenings. Make sure that you can watch the prophet walk out of this room and get escorted at the Monrovia Central Prison. We are going to have a word with him as well. He appears very energetic and in the position to speak. My last brief interaction with him when he came out to use the bathroom, he did say to me that all of what is happening now is for the sake of the Liberian people. He's going to jail now because of the Liberian people. He's being handcuffed now because of the Liberian people. He lifted the handcuff and showed it to the camera and said it is because of the Liberian people that he's being handcuffed. He went on to say that the people set him up. But he understands he's going to face his fate. And this is where we are. So we will remain posted here, bringing you the updates live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice, folks. 3rd floor. And this is where we are. As we bring you all of the happiness here, some of the folks here are saying that they just don't want to be okay. So let's see. All right. Go on. All right. So the sheriffs are doing their job. They're going in and out. All right. So we are told that I understand that the clerk, I think the clerk is working on some documents that is needed before Prophet Key gets escorted at the Monrovia Central Prison. So they are working on that document now, and once that is worked at the Monrovia Central Prison, so many people who have hailed Prophet Key over the years are disappointed right now. The people who saw him or who have seen him over the years as a hero are disappointed right now. And those who have been those who have been victims of his advocacies are in a jubilant mood right now. And it depends on where one sits. But this is the situation here at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Spoon TV, thanks for joining us. We are coming to you live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. The court has found Prophet Key guilty of contempt. Contempt, from the layman understanding, has to do with anything that obstructs the functions of the court. But in this case, the court says it has the legal authority to determine what contempt is. And this is the situation. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, folks. Spoon TV, we're still here posted, making sure we can bring you all of the happenings on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Prophet Key is being handcuffed. The vocal social media advocate and influential talk show host is about to be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. And as it stands, we're told the document is being prepared. And once that is done, the folks will be escorting Prophet Key or Justin Opai Yezian (6 months or 180 calendar days is what Justin Opai Yezian is going to be spending behind bars. And this is where we are, folks. Coming to you live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. This is Spoon TV. Prophet Key will very shortly be put behind bars, escorted from this facility. Following this engagement, we're going to get like the views of Liberians on the latest decision of the court. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, folks. And so we're still here, live on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. We're going to make sure that we get to bring you all of the happenings here. This corridor is very quiet as workers here are peeping in. They also want to capture the moment. Most of them want to see for themselves what's going to happen in this situation. So, all right. So, yes, this is where we are, and it's a very long day here. It's a very long day here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. It's a very long day here. But we are posted and we remain posted to bring you all of the happiness. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, folks. So yes, we are getting updates that the prophet is about to be escorted very shortly. Prophet Key will be escorted very shortly. That's exactly what we are getting from India. Prophet Key will be escorted very shortly. We are told that Prophet Key is going to remain here until the court gets closed officially. Now remember, this entire program started in the courtroom, in the main chambers of the Temple of Justice, where the guilty verdict was being rendered, was being brought down on Prophet Key. So what happened is that the court, on this very day when the October term of court gets to be closed, the court is handing down rulings in all of the cases that were heard in this October term of court. The court is handing down rulings on several cases. After hearing them throughout the October term of court, they're making decisions on those different issues that were brought before the highest court in the land. And so based on that, we are told that Prophet Key will remain in here until that process is concluded. The court gets closed officially. Thereafter, Prophet Key will be released, taken to the escorted, not released, but he will be escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. The court will have to adjourn. The court will have to adjourn before Prophet Key gets escorted to the South Beach or the Monrovia Central Prison. So while we are still doing that, while we are with that, we remain posted here to bring you the updates every step of the way. Thank you for joining us. This is Spoon TV, and we are coming to you live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice here in Monrovia. Liberians are expressing view on this situation as well. Liberians are divided on this situation, and we're looking forward to see what happens. We're looking forward to see what happens. Spoon TV, thanks for joining us. And all right, so yes, thanks for joining us. We so the court will have to adjourn. Following that, then Prophet Key will be released. So what that means is that it's going to be a long one here, folks. It's going to be a long one here, but we understand, or we are getting information that the court is winding down now. They are winding down activities in the chambers there that will see the so once they wind down activities, then we'll get see the court escorting, or the sheriffs, either by officers of the Liberia National Police, escorting Prophet Key and the rest of the folks here. So this is where we are. Thanks for joining us. We remain posted, bring you the updates every step of the way. For some Liberians, especially those who were victimized by the style of advocacy of Prophet Key, for them, justice is being served, while there are others who see this as a slap in the face of free speech, freedom of expression, and so forth. But whatever the case is, we are going to remain posted here. We are going to bring you the updates, the analysis, the views of Liberians here, every step of the way. Thank you for joining us. If you just did, welcome to Spoon TV. What we are doing here is a live coverage of the activities, the happenings with Justin Opa-Yezian, popularly known as Prophet Key, a Liberian who have engaged or who has been involved with several advocacies over the years on social media. His advocacies has been pointed towards quote-unquote corrupt officials. It has been pointed against quote-unquote injustices in the Liberian society. And it has been pointed towards a call for, making sure that the people who allegedly got involved with corruption and other unlawful acts in the society or in the country get to be made to regret their actions. And how exactly has this advocacy gone on? He's been on social media and engaging in most instances using vocal languages against those perceived to be corrupt individuals in society. That situation has resulted to where we are now. Several individuals, so many people in the Liberian society were victimized, and that includes former President George Weah and other top officials of government from his administration. Moving on to where we are now, the Chief Justice Yaomi Gbese, upon taking office, decided to clamp down on this, what has been termed as an abuse of free speech. The Chief Justice, following reports of insults and vulgar languages being used against the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia and also against his mother, then decided to extend an invite to Prophet Key. A citation was drafted. A citation was drafted, and Prophet Key was asked to come and say to the court why he shouldn't be held in contempt. And following the different processes, he has finally been so yes, what started as just a citation inviting the prophet has now resulted to a situation that's going to lead him to jail for the next 6 months. Liberians are still out there. The atmosphere there is full of mixed emotions, mixed views, mixed reactions, and just all of that. Liberians from even across the legislature are standing across, peeping in to see what's happening here at the Temple of Justice. And Liberians are arguing, expressing different views with respect to the Supreme Court's decision today. Some are for, some are against. Some say the court is right, some say the court isn't right. Visually impaired and physically challenged Liberians are all here this afternoon. This case has brought Liberians together more like a national county sportsman. People from across different sectors seated across the courtyard are here awaiting the departure of Prophet Key from this very ground of the Temple of Justice. So thanks for joining us. In case you just did, Spoon TV, we are still here live, making sure that we can bring you all of the happenings here as it unfolds. Thank you for joining us, folks. Thanks for joining us, folks. We want to appreciate all of you coming on here Thanks for joining us, Spoon TV. All right, so folks, we are going to remain posted to bring you all of the happenings here. We're yet to establish as to whether the wife of Prophet Key has left the premises of the Temple of Justice, or what remains clear is that the Prophet is being heavily guided by sheriffs of the court and officers of the Liberia National Police. Thanks for joining us, folks, as we remain posted here, Spoon TV Live, from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. This is what the day looks like. Police cruisers parked at the very entrance of the Temple of Justice. The riot police pick up there as well. And Prophet Key behind these doors. So we're still awaiting the official adjournment of the court, and then we are going to have the rest of the activities going on here. Once the court gets adjourned, the clerk prepares the document. Prophet Key gets escorted at the Monrovia Central Prison. Spoon TV, I'm Nelson Colette. Thanks for joining us. And we are here live on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. I want to say thanks to all of you joining us, and keep following Spoon TV as we are posted here, and we will remain here to bring you all of the latest happenings around this situation. It's a long day, a very tight one here, but we are going to make sure we can bring you all of the happenings here. So yes, officers of the Liberia National Police are still posted as well. The sheriffs from the court going in and out. And for so many people, justice is being served. The doors are opening again. So the sheriffs are saying that they're still waiting on the final instructions from the court, waiting for the adjournment of the court as well, after which Prophet Key gets to be escorted. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to appreciate all of you for joining us on this 13th day of February 2026 on a Friday. The wife of Prophet Key left this place very angry. The wife of Prophet Key left the grounds of the Temple of Justice very, very angry. And when she was escorted and asked as to how she feels and what does she make of the court's latest decision, she said we should take the microphone from before her. She doesn't want us to, take the microphone anywhere close to her, using some very harsh words as well. Some of the very harsh words for which her husband has been or is about to be put behind bars today. So we're here. Thank you for joining us. And this is Spoon TV. We are coming to you live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. We are coming to you live from the grounds of the Temple of Justice. And we want to appreciate all of you joining us. We want to appreciate all of you joining us as we are all posted to bring every happiness here to you. All of the happenings will be brought to you here live, only on Spoon TV. The doors remain locked, and they're only opened based on proper identification from whoever wants to go in. At the moment, only the sheriffs and officers of the Liberia National Police are permitted to be going in and out. So folks, we want to appreciate you, all of you joining us this beautiful Friday afternoon in Monrovia. The time right now is 3 p.m. in Liberia. And we want to appreciate all of you for joining us. Spoon TV, we remain posted here live at the very entrance of the Temple of Justice. So, from the look of things, the adjournment of the court is already taking place. From the look of things, I see the Chief Justice, not the Chief Justice, but other justices making their way out. So, there's an indication that the adjournment is already taking place. And this is what we've been waiting for, as a matter of fact. Following the adjournment, then the clerk gets to complete the document that is currently being compiled, and then Prophet Key gets escorted to the Monrovia Central Prison. So the Prophet Key has been in handcuffs for several hours. And of course, everything is awaiting the He's in here. You want to talk to us? How are you, sir?
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's good to have you. Welcome to Spoon TV.
Thank you so much.
You have been following closely. In fact, you witnessed everything that happened in the courtroom. As a legal practitioner, what does this mean for the rule of law in the Republic of Liberia?
It's a very good opinion. It's a door opener for the justice system in Liberia. Nobody misbehave and say you are hiding under the free speech. Free speech has limits. You listen to the justice opinion. Opinion was very insightful, and she served as an example for those who go around insulting all over, insulting government officials, insulting private individuals. That is wrong.
Some people see this as a clampdown on free speech, especially so when there's a provision under the Constitution of Liberia that calls for freedom of expression.
How would they cry more than they are bereaved? The guy who insulted said he is wrong. He apologized. He feel that what he did is wrong. How will anybody feel that it is not consistent with law? The ruling was consistent with law. He himself believed that what he did was wrong. So the Supreme Court acted properly. The court acted properly. And to all of them will be insulted of all of the people. Keep yourself within the pale of the law. Make sure that you don't go beyond the bounds of the law. We don't insult women in our country. In fact, where some of all come from, we insult women, we excommunicate you. We do that because...
Where is that?
That is the Northwestern Belt. The entire Northwestern Belt. Lofad, Nimba, Bon, and Cape Man. You insult women publicly like the way he does, we excommunicate you. We don't do that. We don't accept that. Even if you are crazy, you can't carry it to women. So what he did is very, very bad. But the good thing is he recognized it. He said he was wrong. He pleaded for mercy. And what they did for him is a helping hand.
You think it's a helping hand?
I think so. He has been going for 6 months. Within 6 months, I think he will rehabilitate. He will rehabilitate his mind. All his nerve will be sober, and he will never cause again, like he said.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to Spoon TV. Sir.
Thank you so much.
For the sake of our audience, just introduce yourself again.
My name is Councillor Godfrey Fire, Solicitor General of Liberia.
All right, thank you. All right, so that's the Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, Councillor Fire. Prophet Key is now being escorted by sheriffs of the court. The marshal of the court. And we are yet to see where exactly the prophet is, but he seemed to be all the way at the back there. Okay. So he seemed to be all the way at the back there. The marshal of the court, alongside the Liberia National Police, they're now escorting Justin Opa-Yezen, popularly known as Prophet Key. Popularly known as please excuse me. Okay. Justin Opa-Yezen popularly known as Prophet Key, is being escorted now.
Congratulations, man.
Is being escorted here live at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. So there you have it. All right, so Justin Opai is here. Is being escorted now. Prophet Key!
Prophet Key, you yeah. What is the message? Prophet Key, this is I know you will go. Yes.
Wow.
You must go. You must
Well,
go.
Justin Obayezie was brought down under tight security presence. Very huge security presence here. Justin Obayezie, popularly known as Prophet Key. So, Prophet Key leaves for the Monrovia Central Prison, where he's going to spend some time behind bars. So this is where we are. Spoon TV. All right, so folks, thanks for joining Spoon TV. We will cut this broadcast off and continue from the other broadcast. So just refresh your page and you can join Spoon TV from